Hey guys, Boom Chicken here from Sinical Gaming. Along beside me, my faithful companion,
Game Eater.
And today we're going to be talking to you guys about Final Fantasy XI, Final Fantasy XIV, and Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn. Now, we're going to start off with the basics. What was 11, how it was, what were the pros and cons with it, and then we're going to get into 14, pros and cons with that, and then we're going to dive into details on Final Fantasy XIV and Realm Reborn itself. So without any further ado, you got a couple questions to ask me out here.
Yeah, we're going to start with Final Fantasy XI. What were the pros and the cons of the game?
Pros for the game, it was very different from the MMOs at the time that were out, like EverQuest and whatnot. You can make one character, and you can be every single class in the game. So let's say if you want to be like a balanced race like the humans were, you could just make whatever you want, and you'd be a decent tank, damage healer, what have you. But if you wanted to be more of like a powerhouse, like a melee person or a tank, you could pick this Galka, which is this giant lizard-looking dude that's also like part monkey. He's hard to describe. He's really weird looking. It was very party-oriented, though. So, like, to get anywhere throughout the game, you'd have to go find a group after said level, and party up with them, your regular tank, you got your healer, and the rest are usually DPS. So it was really party-oriented, but there was no really, like, dungeons or raids. Ooh. So it was kind of weird seeing a MMO like this. But for being a first MMO for myself, it was really fun.
And it came out, in 2000?
It came out in 2002, if I recall correctly.
So, I mean, yeah, it's a very old MMO, so we can't really give it too much negativity.
Yeah, but for the time, it was, especially for somebody's first MMO, it was fun, it was unique, it was different. But there's also a lot of the cons with it, too. It wasn't the most polished game out there, especially for the 360. You think with the 360, was a next-gen console at the time when it first came out. When it first launched onto the 360, I should say. You think the graphics would be upgraded and everything. It really wasn't upgraded that much. There was hardly a difference, too. It was very menu-oriented, too. So instead of having, like, your action bar, you could set up macros up top. And you set your macro up to do set spell in this order, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, okay.
Or you would have to go through a bunch of menu items and find the spell you wanted to cast. It was weird to do it that way, so I thought that was a little bit of a con with it.
It seems a little bit slower paced.
It was definitely more slower paced. It tried going for a more Final Fantasy, like, turn-based feel to the game, and it didn't work that well, but it was different. I give props to Square for wanting difference in video games and MMOs, but it wasn't that great to start off with.
Okay. Well, then, what about 14? Was there anything like 11 in it, or what? Was it good, bad?
I played the game for 3 weeks. Alright? Okay? I got to level 15, and I was running on a fairly decent computer at the time. I've been waiting forever to do this. Hopefully the baby gate's still intact. The game was the biggest waste of my money and my time I've ever spent into anything.
Jeez.
Let's go into the graphics engine first. The graphics engine, you would hit your ability you wanted to do, and it would basically take so long to ping to, like, I'm going to say a server or whatever, what have you, to do your ability. It would take 3 seconds for it to get done, usually. It would take forever for you to hit. It was very confusing to start off with, too, because there was not only so much lag, but the shadow, if you weren't running off a very well-made computer or a very well-produced computer.
So you had to be rich.
You basically had to have at least a good, maybe $2,000 computer at the time. You'd have to have if you didn't have that, though, your shadow quality would have to be turned all the way down. All the way down to there's nothing.
Which lowers realism.
Yeah, it does.
Considerably.
It does well with realism, especially for a Final Fantasy game who wants to go for that more, oh my god, look at these graphics feels, to gaming, to the gamer itself. It didn't really work that good. Throughout later parts of the game, there were patches made to make it more better and fix some of the problems.
Yeah.
But,
they shouldn't have to fix them in the first place.
No, they shouldn't. They should have. I mean, hell, it would, like, put it for example. Hey, board meeting. All right, let's go to a board meeting. Hey guys, it's 3 weeks to launch. You do know this game isn't good, right? You do know we have a bunch of issues in this game, right? Like, does the director just not give a damn?
Eating donuts and drinking coffee, and that's all I cared about.
I mean, really. I mean, it made it. Like, it made a fortune just off 11 players alone, and Final Fantasy fans alone. And, it might have appealed to the MMO scene at the time. And, you know what? They decided to close down the servers the game came out in 2010. They decided to close the servers down a year later. Okay? After patches were developed to make the game somewhat better. And basically, the guy that was directing the game and producing it, I can't remember which one was which. I can't remember his name either, for that matter. He left after so many complaints through the game.
Well, good.
Yeah, he left voluntarily, might I add. And the new game designer and producer, Yoshi P, he came in and said, "Hey, have any of you guys played an MMO before?" Basically, and some of them, most of them, I'm going to guess, said no.
Yeah.
So he decided, shut the servers down. Let's start from scratch. Rebuilt the game engine. Rebuilt a lot of the stuff.
And this brings in a Realm Reborn.
This brings into a Realm Reborn. Yes,
okay.
It does. Once he done that, beta test invites have been sent out. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was very skeptical to get back into 14. Because after my horrible experience with that, it wasn't that good at all.
Yeah.
So you were the one that actually talked me back into it. And damn you for that. But with 14, it's different. I'm gonna get crap for this. I have no idea. It's not a WoW killer. It's not a WoW clone. But it's somewhere in the middle of the two.
Yeah, after everything I've seen and read out, I would say it's definitely in the middle of the two. And it kind of brings in more of other games, but still has that Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's
like keystone.
That's definitely what the makers of the game wanted. They wanted to make it, more appealing to the MMO audience.
Yeah,
that's what they wanted to do essentially. And so they basically sat down. I'm guessing they sat down, played a bunch of MMOs, World of Warcraft, Rift, Star Wars: The Old Republic, Terra, whatever other MMOs there were at the time from the time they shut down servers. And it was like, okay, well, what's good with this? What's good with this? What's good with that? I wonder how this would work in this. And you know what? From what I've seen in beta, since I haven't, I got a beta phase 4 invite.
Yeah.
So I'll be into the open beta. I haven't played any of 3 or before. So what I'm guessing is they are going to do phenomenally well with this game, because from every single, from Mr. Happy to Yawcast Kim, everyone they're both saying that it's going to be phenomenal with just the way they've changed the game itself. So it really feels more like an MMO instead of a Final Fantasy game. Which is good, but
at the same time, it's named for Final Fantasy, so you still got the classic characters, the names, the monsters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is Final Fantasy meets the major MMO world with a hard-on.
That's a way to put it. But, one of the more interesting things I'm seeing with Final Fantasy XIV and Realm Reborn, supposedly this is set in the center of all Final Fantasy games. So, what this means is Square decided to take a bunch of little stuff from every Final Fantasy game and put it into this game. Okay, meaning from Final Fantasy 1, and they're going to do the same thing with 11, they're taking the job system.
Okay.
So, you can start off as basically like, in a Realm Reborn, you start off as Gladiator, Thaumaturge, Archer, etc., etc.
Yeah.
They're taking that system from 11 and 1 and putting it into this game. And from Final Fantasy VI, they're taking the Magitech armor and putting it into the game as well at some point in time. Not sure how that's going to really work with it. From 7, I was a huge fan of 7. They're taking Gold Saucer Arena, the Gold Saucer area, putting it into the game. They're doing a whole bunch of Chocobo battles too. You have Chocobos as companions to tank or heal for you.
That will be a lot of fun.
I think that's going to be really good, especially if you're playing a claw class. You don't want to be squishy.
Yeah.
So you definitely want to have, oh, hey, Chocobo, get over here and kick this guy's ass, you know? I'm not sure what they're doing with like a lot of the other games, like the ones before 6, or 8 and 9, or 10.
Yeah.
Not sure what they're doing with that, but I know they kind of took the judges from Final Fantasy XII, the main villains, and implemented it into this game. And from 13, it's really unique because they're making a Fate, which we'll dive into more with on Fates, what they are. If you've played Rift or Star Wars, or not Star Wars, The Old Republic. It was just Rift, I think.
I think Rift is the one that...
Rift and Guild Wars. Guild Wars 2. That's the one I was thinking, not Star Wars.
Not played that.
They've taken Fates into this battle, and Final Fantasy 13, they're putting a Lightning into a Fate. The main heroine.
From 13.
From 13,
okay.
Lightning. They're taking her into the game.
Claire was her real name.
Claire. Yeah. Spoiler alert. For those who didn't play 13. They're putting her into the Fate system, so basically you're gonna be fighting beside Lightning, and going into battles with Fate with her, and
just glad we're not fighting her.
Yeah, oh my god, if we were fighting her, that'd be one.
That would
require an entire party of dragoons just to take care of her, just
jumping all over the place.
Yeah. We'll go into Dragoon job class later on because
we're going to be covering everything that we're basically kind of talking about right now. We're just kind of throwing it all out there.
It's
get you curious.
It's crazy. But once you beat the Fate, essentially, you unlock pieces of her armor.
Oh yes,
pieces of her armor for the female characters, and for the male characters, you get Snow's set up. Yeah. So it's really interesting to see the developers put something like this into a game because you don't see that at all, except for with Blizzard. That when they were doing one of their Ultimate dungeons, one of the vanilla dungeons, they put the Lost Viking brothers into the game, into that dungeon game. You don't remember that?
No, I don't know.
Have you ever played Lost Vikings?
No.
No?
Oh.
Yeah. They put those 3 little guys, they were the dwarves in the Alderman raid, into this game. Into the game.
I remember Alderman. But, so... Okay.
Yeah, we're getting off topic now. We're just ranting on. But I'm personally excited for Realm Reborn. It's different. What are you excited about?
Well, I'm overly excited about the entire concept of the game. I've been wanting a better MMO, or at least a different one, because I've been stuck a long time on World of Warcraft and just a whole bunch of different free MMOs that I've been trying out. So I'm excited just for the simple fact it's coming out. And I myself, I'm more of a melee kind of tank person. So, I'm happy to see they're bringing in the Golka, or the Roganda, as they're called. Mm-hmm. Rogaiden. There we go. That's as they're called in a Realm Reborn. But I'm excited to play, as a tank person and just enjoy all the aspects of the game.
What class are you most excited for?
Definitely the Paladin.
Paladin?
Oh yeah.
Why?
From what I've been hearing, they're more of a mitigation kind of tank. That they'll parry and block a lot more blows. But then they also have just an ability that I'm really excited about. It's a heavy hitter and then just a big defensive wall.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just feel like a tank is what I'm excited for the most, and the Paladin is the tank I want to go for.
Okay.
What about you? I mean, what are you trying to go for?
I'm more likely to be choosing Alliance to start off with and going into Dragoon. I really do want to have that hoppity feeling to it.
Yeah.
I played a Dragoon back in 11. The thing I'm most disappointed, though, back in 11, when you got your Dragoon class, you got a pet Wyvern. A little pet dragon.
Yeah,
and damn you developers for not putting the Wyvern in 14, A Realm Reborn.
But
damn you.
Dragoons are dragon killers.
I know, but come on.
It's like
Keep with that
basically
theme
saying,
a
I'm
little bit.
gonna raise this guy from an egg until he gets old enough so I can kill him and take his bones.
Oh, that's fine.
I don't know.
People do it with kittens all the time. Not me. Do you?
No. Oh boy.
Oh, I do have one more question for you though,
Yeah.
and then we'll wrap up. What class are you least excited for?
Definitely the Bard.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like the Bard as a concept is great. I mean, it's a perfect support class. It's great. You would almost definitely need him in a raid, but he evolves, or it's the hunter that evolves into the Bard. Archer. Sorry.
What
And
terms?
The Archer, it's a damage dealer.
Yeah.
It's one of your DPS people, and to see him evolve into a support class, I mean, it's odd. It's not right. An Archer should evolve into a heavier hitting DPS.
It should. It really should.
And like, what I thought would be perfect is, the Arcanist is evolving into 2 different jobs. You can be the Scholar or the Summoner. Why didn't they do that with the White Mage? If you think about it, a White Mage is a support role.
Yeah.
Conjurer evolves into a White Mage, your main heal. So why can't a Conjurer also evolve into a Bard with small heals and then major support, role? That's what I think they should have done.
Well played. Maybe Square's listening to us.
Let's hope.
I doubt it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're nobodies.
Too early.
Way too early. First video.
Yeah.
Technically second.
Well, like,
Take
what
12 though.
what about you? Like, what is your?
I will
favorite?
agree with the Archer going into Bard. I mean, I think the Archer itself is a great class.
Yeah.
It's very unique. The mechanics to it are awesome from what we saw. Going into Bard, I will agree with you with that. But I think the one that I'm least excited for, only because I know I will never get the rotation down, is the Pugilist going into Monk.
I knew where that was
There
going.
is. I'll give to Square for making this class difficult, because it is a very difficult class. If you think about it, monks, once they basically have to start in the back, on the back side of the enemy, and then certain abilities you have to flank them, go to their sides. But one simple mess up, and you essentially have to restart from scratch. Otherwise, your DPS will falter.
Monks have probably the best capability of damage.
Oh, easily.
Out of everybody, but it's when you start your rotation, you start small. Here's your damage as a meter, and then as you get higher with your rotation, it constantly goes up. But as soon as you mess up once, you're right back to square one. And that, I mean, unless you really want the challenge, that is not the class.
And I'll more than likely end up playing a Pugilist to try to go into Monk and see how it rolls.
Maybe after I'm really used to the game.
Yeah, once you get used to the controls, because we're going to be playing on PlayStation.
Yes.
But I know I'm more than likely going to get a keyboard and a mouse.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the controller.
I'm going to try the controller for a little bit.
I want to see how that goes.
I really do want to try that.
Yeah.
I really do want to try that controller theory. But more than likely, it's going to be a very difficult rotation to master.
Definitely.
Especially since from Beta Phase 3, we only saw 5 abilities.
Yeah.
That were in Phase 3. I'm not sure if in Phase 4 or
I think
in Phase 4 we'll get a little bit more abilities to it, but I'm not sure how they're going to we're not sure how they're going to play into the game.
Yeah.
We're not sure how they're going to work, what they're going to do, what the mechanics are, how it's going to fit into your rotation, etc., etc. So,
it'd be exciting to see though. We'll touch back on that one because I do want to see where they're going to go. But at the same time, it's probably not something I'm going to pick up on until much later in the game.
Yeah. Maybe my second class.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, this is Boom Chicken here.
Game Eater here.
And we wanted to thank you for joining in on our Sinical Gaming, basically launch video, if you want to call it that way.
Yes. Launch gaming-wise. We do have an intro before this. Please check that one out as well.
It's going to be silly.
Yes, always.
But, next video we're going to get into more of the fates, the guild leaves, the free companies, basically your quote-unquote guilds.
The stuff that is not typical for an MMO. Things that are different than, your typical MMO. That's what we're going to be getting into.
GG noob.
Oh boy. But anyways.
Anyway, from us here at Sinical Gaming, we'll see you next time.
All right.